So the first thing I want you to do on this video, I'm starting from the key press movement example, and I want you to make sure that you remix it and name it something else, like auto movement example I have here, or automatic movement, whatever you want, but I don't want it to overwrite the other program. So when we're trying to get something to move automatically and not be controlled by key presses, we don't need any of this code. So there's nothing about keys, there's nothing about pressing keys. The idea is we want the cat to move automatically. So the first thing I'm going to do is just delete all that. Now, what I do need to do is pick a random starting spot is one thing I'm going to do for the cat, and then also send it off in a direction on its own. Specifically, I'm going to do diagonally. I'm going to start with diagonally down this way, and we'll talk about different ways you can play with that. All of this code in here, I'm still going to have, when I press the start button, it's going to hide the start button and show the cat image. I do need a timed loop. Okay, but this is all going to be taken out. All of this stuff is about the key presses. I could have starting at 0, but as I said, I want to start it with a specific velocity, so I'm going to delete all that. So that's all that's really staying from the program, and we'll come back to that. But the first thing we need to do is pick a random location for the cat to start. I could have it start just where it is, but I want each time the game to look a little different. So I'm going to set up a function, random location. I'm not going to use a parameter for this one. And I'm going to have two variables. I'm going to create x. And in the x direction, we know this is about 320. This has a width of 100 right now. So I'm actually going to pick a random number between 50 and 150. And I can use whatever I want. I want to make sure I don't send it off the screen to start out because that will break the program with the way I'm going to write it, but something like that. And then in the y direction, because that's a little larger, I'm going to copy and paste this. We're going to go to 250. And then once I get those two variables, I'm going to set the position of the cat image to x comma y, so whatever random number I choose. Now, before the program starts, or specifically when I press the start button, I want that to happen. I'm going to show the cat. I'm going to hide the start button. And before I show the cat, although it really doesn't matter because it's faster than we can see, I'm going to choose a random location for the cat. Now, right now, I want to just make sure it picks a random location. So I'm going to comment out these lines that I'm not using right now and just see when I press the start button, does it pick a random location for the cat? So it looks like it's working. I'll try one more time. Yeah, it looks like it picked a different spot each time. So now we're going to start to build what we're going to do with the cat. Unlike the key presses, we want the velocity to start at 0 because the default of not pressing the keys is the cat is staying still. Here, I played around with different values, and 3 seemed like a good velocity. So I am, to start the program, I could pick a random number here, or a random positive or negative. You know, an if statement, I'm going to keep it positive or negative to determine the direction, but I'm just going to set its x and y velocities to 3. So it should be moving like down in this direction as x and y get bigger. Remember, bigger y values in this program are down, not up. Since these x and y are only used in the random number function, that's why I made them local variables. These velocities I'm going to want to change in different places, so I made them global. So now I'm going to move into my timed loop. I still want to set the position of the cat image based on where the cat is plus its x velocity and where in the x and y direction. So in order to do that, at the beginning of my time loop, I still have to get where it is. So we had something similar in the other program. So this is x cat, that's where the cat is in the x direction. We're doing that each time in the time loop to get its new position. Get x position of the cat image. And then Do the same thing for Y cat, get the Y position of the cat image. So right now I'm just going to indent this, and then we need to uncomment that. We should have it starting somewhere, and then it's going to move with a positive velocity for X and Y each time the time loop runs. So we're going to see where we're at right now. Okay. But as you can see, it moves off the screen. So it is moving one more time, new starting location, but still kind of heading in that direction. So what we need to do is set up an if statement. And if it gets to the side, we need to send it back in the opposite direction, which basically means we're going to negate the value of the velocity. So we're going to create an if statement. And first off, I'm going to think about hitting the left side. So I'm going to say if x cat, and we need parentheses around that. So the x position of the cat. And I started out and I said less than or equal to 0. So if I get to the point where the value of the cat is going past 0 this way, then I want to send it back in the opposite direction. Now it's kind of a different spot to start from because it is going to the right first, but at some point if I bounce it off, it will go to the left. So if that happens, I'm going to take the x velocity, and just like we can do plus equal, I'm going to do multiply equal -1, which should send it in the other direction. I'm going to do the same thing. So now that I'm in text, I can copy this and paste it. So I'm going to say else if the x cat gets greater than or equal to 320, which is the other side of the screen, multiplying by -1 will work. Basically, if it's going this way, it's going to go from positive to -x. If it's coming this way, it will be going in the -x direction, and it will bounce back positive. So let's just see what happens. Yeah, can we run this now? We should get it that it bounces back in the x direction. We haven't done the y yet. So I could see, and one more time, just watch carefully, it does bounce back, but we haven't made any y direction changes. So we're going to do that next. Now, it's not great because it kind of goes off the screen and comes back on. I want to make it look like it physically bounces off the side. I'll worry about that in a second. But next, what I'm going to do is just add those y changes, those y else ifs. So each time we go through, you can say if the y cat is less than or equal to 0, we're going to change the y velocity to be in the other direction. And then we'll do the same thing. So it looks like I missed getting a bracket here to close that one off. I'm just going to copy this. And we'll make this the 450. That's the full distance. So let's just see what this looks like now. Now, it doesn't look great because it's going off the screen. It doesn't really go over far enough in certain directions, and that's normal, but the idea of what I want is working. Now, this is mostly just playing around, thinking about the width of the cat. I already kind of got what I thought were the best numbers I could. If we use -15 here, and then 235, and then here I used -20, and here I used 375. That seemed to work pretty well. So it seems like it's actually bouncing off the sides. And this is pretty cool. I mean, if you think about any video game, we kind of think that things actually run into each other. And really it's just geometry. And we're saying, okay, well, what position do I need to make it do something different? So this is cool. The cat's moving by itself. The other thing we're going to do is set up so that we can click on the cat and it goes to a new location. So this is a pretty simple step. We just need another event handler. So when I click on the cat image, I'm going to set it to a new random location. That's basically what's going to happen. We're just going to pick a new random location. So I'm going to copy this. I'm not really going to worry about changing the velocity. I could if I wanted to. So when I click on the cat, each time I click on it, it goes to a new random location. As I said, if I wanted to switch up the velocity when I clicked on it, I could. But that's just a simple clicker game where you can send something to new spots. Just to review, picking a random location function, we have to set a start value for the velocity. And then in our timed loop, we are continually moving it based on its current location and what the velocity is. And then to do boundaries, you have to find numbers where you want to negate the velocity.